The sun hovered low over the Noivia Stadium, casting long, golden fingers across the freshly trimmed grass. A gentle breeze carried the distant hum of traffic and the sharp, metallic scent of morning dew. Fans trickled in, their voices rising in an eager crescendo, as if the stadium itself held its breath, waiting. This was FC Barcelona's first training session in Asia, a moment they had envisioned for months. Yet it arrived under a cloud of unexpected chaos. Among the scattered cones and neatly lined up balls stood Hansi Flick, his brows knitted, eyes scanning the field. Joining him under the muted roar of the crowd were three new faces. Joan Garcia, the young goalkeeper whose gloves had yet to taste a Barca net. Marcus Rashford, the England striker bursting with potential. And the teenage forward, Rooney Barguise, eyes wide with anticipation. But instead of the smooth start Flick had planned, the air crackled with tension. What lay behind his serious gaze, and how would this make-or-break moment unfold? Behind the scenes, the tour had been billed as a showcase of Barca's renewed ambition. The friendly against Vissel Kobe, the reigning leaders of Japan's J1 League, was to be a stern examination of the squad's readiness. Flick, ever the strategist, had meticulously charted every drill, every rest period, every tactical nuance, until the ground shifted beneath his feet. 3 days before departure, news broke. The hosts had breached their contract. In a move that stunned the football world, Barcelona announced it would pull out of Japan altogether. Questions flew. Was the breach financial? Logistical? Whatever the cause, it threatened to derail weeks of preparation. Enter Rakuten, the club's partner, who stepped in like a skilled diplomat to mend fences. Yet the patchwork solution forced a late-night scramble at the airport. Seats filled with weary players and staff. Itineraries rewritten on jet-lagged wings. Could Flick regroup his disciplined troops in time? Or would this tour become a cautionary tale? Flick's frustration found its moment just before the whistle sounded to start training. Sport later reported that he caught club president Joan Laporta off guard, gently tugging him aside near the tunnel entrance. Laporta, ringed by Vice President Rafa Yuste and directors Enric Masip and Alejandro Echevarria, wore an apologetic expression. Flick's voice, usually calm and measured, carried an edge of exasperation. His eyes, normally quick to soften into reassurance, remained hard, unblinking. It was a silent clash of titans. The manager's precision against the president's need to navigate complex partnerships. What Laporta whispered back is known only to those cloaked in the boardroom's hush. But the tension lingered like a low hum, impossible to ignore. For a brief moment, the stadium lights dimmed in significance. This private tete-a-tete held higher stakes than any drill. As the squad spilled onto the pitch, traces of exhaustion were written on every face. The long-haul flight, a blur of cramped seats and flickering screens, had left limbs stiff and spirits dulled. Marcus Rashford, eager to prove his worth, shook out his arms, but even his trademark smile faltered under the weight of travel fatigue. Joan Garcia patted down his gloves, as if to anchor himself to reality amid the whirlwind. And Badri, still chasing dreams, blinked at the stadium's immensity, cheeks flushed with equal parts excitement and jet lag. There was no time to linger. Flick blew his whistle and the squad snapped to attention, the crisp sound slicing through the heavy air. In less than 24 hours, they would lace up once more for a match that could set the tone for their entire pre-season. Would the players summon the spark needed, or would weariness dictate their performance? The clock struck 11 o'clock Spanish time, 1500 in Kobe, marking the official start of training. Laporta, now calm but watchful, strolled along the sideline, his tailored jacket flapping in the breeze. Beside him, Yuste and Masip exchanged notes, their conversation muted by the distance and the thud of boots on turf. Inside the huddle, Flick outlined the session. A brief warm-up, focused passing exercises, a spell of positional drills, and finally, shootouts on goal. The new signings clustered near the centre circle, eager for their first taste of Barca's rhythm. Rashford darted forward, ankle socks hugging his boots, as Bargi hovered on the fringes, waiting for an opening. Garcia, meanwhile, took position in the makeshift penalty area, sweat already forming at his temples as he prepared to launch a series of sharp saves. Every movement was crisp, deliberate, Barca's DNA writ large in the way they moved as one. Off to the side, youth players, ambitious shadows of tomorrow, watched with shining eyes. They were the future, tucked behind the giants they admired, hoping for a moment to shine. Flick caught their gaze and offered a nod, a fleeting gesture that spoke volumes. This was your moment too. They responded with flair, one launching a crossfield ball that cut through the golden light like a comet, another spinning away from a marker with practiced ease. For a fleeting second, the world felt white again. And yet the unspoken question hung over every drill, every stretch, every passing pattern. Could this squad, tested by contractual snafus and travel woes, rise above the chaos? Flick's meticulous plan had been scrambled, but his vision remained unbroken. As the final whistle of the session echoed, a crisp, authoritative blast, he gathered the players in a semicircle. "Rest tonight," he said, voice low but firm. "Recover. Tomorrow, we show Kobe who we are." His words, carry on the humid air, sank deep into the group. They dispersed, back straight, heads lifted, resolve rekindled. But the real test waited just a day away. In the quiet that followed, the stadium emptied, leaving only the lingering scent of turf and the echo of boots. Flick stood alone at midfield for a moment, hands in his pockets, gaze fixed on the goalposts. He breathed in the electric twilight, imagining the stadium brimming with fans, the roar of support, the crash of jerseys. This was more than a friendly, it was a statement. He turned on his heel, walking toward the tunnel, silhouette dark against the flaring sky. What unfolded in the next 24 hours would define not just the tour, but Barcelona's readiness to face the world once more. And as the lights dimmed, one question lingered. Would they be ready when the whistle blew?